And right, we are now live. Good evening to uh, everyone. I have not shared this program for one or two reasons, but then it's going to be shared anyway. And I'm sure those of you who have subscribed, who have clicked the notification button, you'll be informed that OtunbaHOO latest is now on. Then you can join us. Then we can then again ask you to please invite other people who want to watch. But you're not missing anything. Nobody's missing anything tonight. Um, Welcome to OtunbaHOO latest. I want to appreciate all of you. And the reason why I want to appreciate you especially is it was a short notice. I took advantage that if you are free, you will definitely join. And you did. And that gives me a lot of happiness. I'm very happy about that. Um, Now, let me go through the names again. My guests have with me Mr. Shegun Daniel. I have for almost 5 years. I've known you, Alex. I've only known you to be in DV, Materia, Lisinge. Am I right? Which one do I
Yeah.
call it? Lisinge.
Yes, Lisinge,
Okay, okay.
100%.
And we've been together for a long, long time now. I must acknowledge that. Then I have
Yeah.
I have a very, very old friend of, I can't say 37 years. We've known each other
Mm-hmm.
a long time now. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's, Alagwa Alex Oluwole Ajala is an historian, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy to have you on the show tonight. Again, the show is nothing than talking about what is going on, current matters arising on and about countries in Africa. So it's my pleasure tonight to have two different countries, different backgrounds, and then I'm going to mix them together. The other country that is yet to be born is Yoruba, and in all my program, I've chosen to talk about it. If I go to President Biya tomorrow, I will talk about Yoruba nation. If I go to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I will talk about Yoruba anticipation, self-determination movement, what we have. The other thing that might follow as to how far have we gone about it is also part of what we'll be discussing tonight. So let me start by our guest who is from another country, Alex Lisinga. Alex, just tell us roughly how far are you? Because I know you are also one of the main campaigner for freedom
Mm-hmm.
of. You want to detach your area from the main Cameroon because here we have a country that has only since its birth. I think you are. I think you have only one and a half president. You never have. You never had three best presidents. It has always been one president bequeathed the continuation because he died. If he has not died, uh, 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 what is his name again? He will probably will still be there. So because
Yeah.
many African, yeah, what is his name again? I forgot it.
Paul Biya.
Paul Biya, yeah, he will still be there because many African countries, I think it's a taboo to only to see them vacate position of power. So tell us tonight how far have you gone with your campaign? And tell us about the
The,
campaign.
the campaign have not been easy because, as I understand, the government of the Cameroons, they tried to shut you down all over social media. I had hundreds and hundreds of people on social media. They disable the account without giving you any reason. But as Thomas Sankara once said, you can kill a person, but you cannot kill an ideology. And I have seen like the Yoruba self-determination movement. I just read a brief thing about it. I was so impressed because They are fighting my type of fight, which is use the legal means. That's where I differ with most people who come from former British Cameroons. And if I should tell you, you know, we from the British Cameroons, we were being administered as part of the Nigeria. So at some point, our politicians there, they left, they came and gave us autonomy in Boya. And as you know, the UN again, our problem, I will just diagnose it rather than talking for a long history. Two countries came together. The UN trusteeship, which was French Cameroon, they called themselves La République du Cameroon. They had their independence on 1st January 1960. Then the English part of Cameroon had their independence on 1st October 1961. And the UN asked that we should achieve that independence by joining them. We had a federal constitution. We have two different institutions. Most of their institutions they inherited from France. They still have it today, like the gendarme. They have military tribunal. Civilians have been tried in military tribunal. The money we are using is the French money, which was created in France in 1945. Everything there we have, like in Cameroon, we don't really have politicians. We have what they call a NAM, which is a magistrate and administrative school, which was inherited from France. So our problem, the English part of Cameroon, is that we have our legal system, which is the same like Yaoundé. In theory, we don't use it. We have all our institutions have been defunct. And when Mr. Biya went sometime in France, he said they tried to integrate us, the English part, which means they were trying to annex us because we are not existing inside that country. Everything is in French, and most English-speaking Cameroonians are second-class citizens. And again, the first constitution, which was a federal constitution of Cameroon, the first president, President Amadou Ahidjo, changed the constitution. There was an article in the constitution, Article 47, which says the federal form of state should never be changed. So today, if you look at the constitution of Cameroon, they have changed that article and they put another in a centralized state, Article 64. They say you cannot change the form of the state again when they have already changed it before. And we have a centralized form of state. So you see, sometimes official documents in the Cameroons, they come there, it's mostly in French. And Mr. Biya has been there. So they keep on telling, so at the end of the day, the constitution of Cameroon allows us to have a political party. And it allows us, our party, which I call it British Cameroon National Party, the aim is to stand and have most of the parliamentarians in Northwest and Southwest region of Cameroon, former British Cameroon. And I believe when we have the parliamentarians, we have that legitimacy. As I speak, there's an ongoing war that has been going on in the Northwest and Southwest part of the Cameroon. 7 years gone, the president of Cameroon is not doing anything. We were invited in 2019, what Mr. Biya called Major National Dialogue. I went there. On my invitation, they said, Mr. Biya invited us to do what? To talk and discuss about the problem in Northwest and Southwest, which is former British Cameroon. But when we went there, they were talking only about the entire Cameroon, but that's not what the invitation said. I challenged them there. And when we come out, they say, oh, they have given Anglophone special status. Anglophone are former British Cameroonians. They have given us special status. So I said, no, we need equal status. Practice your French institution in the French part, and let us practice the English institution that we inherited in our own side. And as I speak, most Cameroonian doesn't even know we are not independent because we have what we call joint independence with CEMAC countries. CEMAC are this Central African country, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, they have joint sovereignty. So Cameroon cannot decide about their monetary policy. They cannot decide about interest rate. They have to meet all these countries. But most people think Cameroon is a sovereign country. Scholars have written about it. We have joint sovereignty. Even in Cameroon, the money that we use, there's no English language there, only French since independence. So at the end of the day, the government of the Cameroons, they don't want to give autonomy. And what I believe is still happening in Cameroon is that the government want to maintain that power because what we have in Cameroon, exportation. We are not an industrial country. There's Cameroon Development Corporation. which is a big organization. If you look at the article, they produce timber, banana, cocoa, other products. What do they say? For exportation. That's one. When Cameroon was created, that exportation was aimed at what? For the slave trade. It was a slave plantation. So what Mr. Bia is doing today, he's still exporting things, doing what the slave master and the colonial master were doing. Instead of changing it so that we can start manufacturing a banana, cocoa, timber, all those things in Cameroon, they still export it. So we still find ourselves in that quagmire, and there's still a lot to do. And I believe we can do it through legal means.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for this comprehensive feedback. I call it feedback because I've been part of this also for years. And like I said, we Yoruba, part of a country called Nigeria. Uh, we are planning. We have even put it in motion. That I also want to a kind of a separation. But then again, but let me quick before I go to other member of the panel. What tell our viewers what exactly is the best way to resolve this impasse?
To me, Mr. Otunba, most of us understand. Most of us, everybody, the panelists, they have talked about living in London, which I'm happy. If you see, you look at countries like Northern Ireland, they had similar problems. And what happened? They have what they call Good Friday Agreement, power sharing agreement. That's how you do it. In Cameroon, even sometimes, I envy, although you would say Nigeria is not a democratic country, I envy certain things. In Cameroon, you guys are using the word, the English legal system. In Cameroon, we are not allowed, it's just in theory, the English speaking. And civilians are being tried in military tribunal. So when I see what happened in the United Kingdom, they came about what devolution. In 2019, we went to Cameroon. The government said, okay, they have given us decentralization. I said, no. Decentralization means transfer of power. If you look at Scotland, they have devolved what? Economic, transport, taxation, health, policing. I asked them in Cameroon, what have you done decentralized? Nothing. The education is still being controlled from Yaoundé, the capital. Everything's still Yaoundé. So there is no decentralization. It's a scam. We cannot have a government that's running a country as if you're scamming the people. We all know what's decentralization. In Scotland, they have their own parliament. They can decide on what they want. The day the government of Cameroon said they have given us decentralization and everything, they run the country by presidential decree. That's how you run a country. We are in the United Kingdom. I've never heard the prime minister signing presidential decree. If there's something happening, explain it to it in lay terms. So all these degree that they sign, I believe, is to frighten the people in the Cameroon. Because as a leader of the country, if you want to do something, you just explain. You don't go and be talking as if you're writing to lawyers. Degree number this. That's how they run the country. And we don't see Mr. Bia. The last time, maybe not the last time, I've seen Mr. Bia maybe not more than 3 times. When I was a boy, I just left in 1982. I went to Form 1. Then the then President Ahijo left. Mr. Bia came to Boya. I was a young boy. I saw him. Then I saw Mr. Bia again in another part of the province when he promised that he was going to give us a deep sea port Victoria in the English part of the country. It is 30 years today, nothing has been done. Then Mr. Bia have put a deep sea port near his village or whatsoever. So you cannot be openly running a country as if you're discriminating against other people. Then you use national unity in what? There are people in some part of the English part of Cameroon, they have never seen tar in their life. They have never seen electricity in their life. Mr. Bia spent most of his time in Switzerland. I even see some of your presidents, you can see Buhari or Tinubu, at least they have their own criticism. But you see them walking. The only time you see Mr. Biana in Cameroon is when they organize under the TV, a Munzungu, a Caucasian will come, then they show us through the TV. So we have a television president. Now, that's our president. We don't see him. He's an invisible man. And I don't understand if they don't love the country. So it's not funny. I saw him. He was received by Putin. Putin was impatient, waiting for him to come. Putin was there impatient. You could see Putin waiting for him because he has to be working. Do they force you to be a president of a country? Can he not retire and go and sit down? But
Alex,
to be, that's what I don't understand.
thank you. The last part of it is optional. The last part of your presentation is optional. Like I said, some of them giving them the opportunity. We had that before, even though they denied in Nigeria. Somebody who has been president 3 times, he wanted to do the fourth time by want to coerce, want to get people to. But he denied that he did. But that's a discussion for another day. Now let me go to uh, um, Alex Oluwole Ajala. Now, for us,
Sorry,
like I
I don't
said,
know that one.
like I said, is about this and that on the Nigerian soil. The present Nigeria government is something we cannot wish for. We cannot say even today somebody said don't mention Nigeria on this platform. Why will anybody say don't mention Nigeria in this platform? We are yet to be a country that can be called Ududua, Yemoja, or Yoruba, or whatever. What will you say to somebody? What do you understand if somebody say to you on a platform, don't mention Nigeria? What does that say? What does that signal to you?
Well, I would say they have believed of reality. If Nigeria is so out of tune with you, you want to find out why it is in that state of nature. Um, I've even wanted to add to Alex the saying is the position on the situation in Cameroon. All we are facing in Africa, before I go back to answer, is that in 1964, when the African heads of state met, they decided that they were going to keep the boundaries the Europeans created for them. In the real sense, we don't have African countries in Africa. We have European countries created, and we are battling to understand those things. It is in our hands now to say for freedom, we have to recreate our own new countries. And in Europe, in the last 38 years, 34 new countries emerged, and they are the lines of their language, culture, and tradition. And even Great Britain, using the word Great Britain, not England. England is just one of the countries in Great Britain, just like Scotland, just like Northern Ireland. And the other part, the Irish Republic, had gotten itself out of that union a long time ago. You see, we lack identity. The Africans, we lack identity. The same situation in the Congo, the so-called Democratic Republic of the Congo. A writer who traveled through the Congo from Kalemi on the Lake Tanzania, and went through River Congo, one of the second largest rivers in the world, and has one of the largest volumes of water that flows into the Atlantic Ocean, up to about 200 miles from the mouth of the river. It's not has been fighting since the third month of their independence in 1960. And as we speak, they are still killing each other. So it is us Africans who are now trying to grapple with the understanding of this narrative that should stand up against the so-called political class that are entrapping us. Everything Alex talked about resource development. I know of the banana thing because when I was in primary school, my uncle worked in your plantation and the banana development came to say that some of the bananas produced in the Cameroon are some of the best in the world. I don't know what the standard is now. But these are things that should have been packaged and sold to the world directly rather than going through a third party. Just the same thing with Nigeria. We have oil, we are no longer refining it. We are now asking somebody to refine it for us and then we buy it again. And it is our own. And subtly they now put what they call what is subsidy, which actually did not really exist. We are deceived. So if somebody says he doesn't want to hear the word Nigeria, I would say I commiserate with him, but he should understand that we still need to talk about Nigeria and to be able to reach out to our people and tell them this is the reason why we have to eclipse Nigeria. It's not Ijangbara for the Yoruba race. It is a total understanding of the fact that that amalgam can no longer sustain the people together. That's the fact. And
Thank
we
you.
are running away from that fact because I'm speaking English language now. If the white man did not come to our land, it's not possible that a Bale from Ile Yoruba will cross the Odoya River Niger to the other side and say, "Ẹ̀yin ará bíbá ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ ṣèlú pọ̀." Eh? Yeah.
Well, thank you, Alex. Uh, you just said one thing that caught my attention. Um, as we speak, we are still part of Nigeria. Nobody can deny that. Even though if Nigeria is going to be broken to 10 or 4 or whatever tomorrow, as we all speak, I think we are still in Nigeria. Mr. Shagun Daniel, I want to ask, I want to ask you the same question. If somebody said to you now, don't mention Nigeria where because he's a Yoruba person or an Igbo person or any other tribe that say don't mention Nigeria, how will you reply him? What will you say to him?
Well, and viewers, good evening, finally. I will simply sympathize with the whatever could have informed such opinion. However, I will want the individual to realize that living a life is about reality. Living a life is not so much about um, emotion nor wishes. If you wish something to happen, then you need to put plans in place to achieve it. But the reality of the circumstance is Nigeria is an existing nation, a sovereign one, that is recognized by the Committee of Other Nations. So, be that as it may, the reality will start us from the face. As of now, you can either be a citizen of one or two in which you have dual nationality, which you can make claim of. You cannot be unless, well, as the legal situation could permit, you can equally be stateless. Um, aside from that, you cannot take on citizenship of a nation that has not is not in existence. Rather, it's just in existence in your mind or in your thoughts or in your belief. So I rather ask the person to come to life and be realistic to live it.
Thank you. On and About Nigeria is the show, and tonight I have uh, three of my friends, and Mr. Alex Lisinge is a colleague, he's also a journalist, he's a lawyer. I've known him for years. He's from Cameroon. I'll be going back to him in a minute because I still want to ask him what are the process and procedure. Because most of what he has said so far is about the struggle, is about the problem they are having to access this process. Then Mr. Shagun Daniel is also a regular on this show. Um, it's also a pleasure to have another Mr. Alex Luwalia Jala, who will be talking more about Yoruba self-determination. Mr. Shagun will be talking more about Nigeria on and off. Now, let me start with you again, Mr. Shagun Daniel.
Yeah.
Presently, as we speak, there is a government in place. It was an election, there was an election concluded. is it completed, or what do I say? It's because
The
of the
election
ongoing.
has concluded. No, the election has been concluded. Only that
Yes,
the matter has moved to the tribunal.
and okay. Now, in between, because there cannot be a vacuum in governance, and that's why we have a president in place of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So, and he's doing what governance has to do, putting governance apparatus, all this and that in place. So, as we speak now, he's gone to a point of have to uh, send to the Senate the his ministers, and those are going to be his aides, people that will be working with him. Before we get there, so far, what will you tell Nigerians or people listening to this program? How much you think the new president has done, uh, from 1 to 10, 10 being the best as we speak. I mean, we limit it
Mhm.
to the present situation. We cannot go beyond where he is now. So we don't
Okay.
want to use a parameter of 1 year to judge only 3 months. We need to be very careful.
Yeah.
So within that period, what will you say? How do you want to rate him?
Okay, I will answer that question, but permit me to quickly refer to the gentleman, Mr. Alex from Cameroon.
Okay.
I just want to have a cue about the procedures or processes going on in Cameroon. What exactly is the agitation in the Anglophone part of Cameroon? Is it that they want a region within the country that they can govern and manage on their own, or they want an independent nation of the Anglophone Cameroon out of the Cameroon, the current or the present Cameroon structure? I really want to have a clear view of what the
What I
position is.
want to put here, you know, if you
It's
have a
your opinion. Are
referendum,
you, pardon me, please. Are you expressing your own opinion, or you want to express the opinion of the group that you know are agitating? I need some clarification on that as well.
I should make this clear to you. Before this group came today, when I was still under 15, I've been fighting for this cause. When I went to my university back home, 99% of my course was in French, but I'm English speaking. Everything was in French, 99%. So at the end of the day, this is what I have to put it as a lawyer. I'll tell you clearly in Cameroon, two countries came together. And my constitutional lecturer in Cameroon, before I come to UK, told us the definition of a country: a political authority, a territory, and a population. That's the definition. A country does not need to be independent. Scotland is a country, is not independent. England is a country, is not independent. Wales is a country, they are all inside the United Kingdom. So two countries came together. The French Cameroon became a country when the UN trusteeship gave them a political authority under the president who was 33 years old, Amadou Ahidjo. And they had their independence separately from us on the 1st of January 1960. So we were a country under Dr. Endeli, who was our own prime minister. So when we came together in October 1961, 1st October, two countries came together. Today, the other country is not existing. The name of Cameroon today is La République du Cameroun, the Republic of Cameroon. That was the name of the French Cameroon when they had their independence in 1960, January. That's their name. So they have been annexing the English part, they are not existing. When the first president of Cameroon, President Mahamadou Ahidjo, was there, the prime minister of former British Cameroon was the vice president. There is an audio, there is a video on YouTube. He said that they agree that the French gendarme military should remain in their own side and we should have our own in the English side. They just brought in and colonized. He used the word annex us. He was the vice president under Ahidjo. So now in Cameroon, they don't want an open debate. Like, let me tell you, we came together. In the United Kingdom, look at Scotland. They came together with England 300 years ago. They have what they call Act of Union. Scotland is still called Scotland until today. When they have the Green Tree Agreement, the problem, the case of Bakassi between Nigeria and Cameroon, the International Court said both countries should go back to their pre-colonial boundaries because before independence, French Cameroon had their colonial boundary before independence. We too have our own international boundary. So today they have encroached on us, and at the end of the day, we came together under a federal form of government. People have been calling since independence that we should maintain the federal form of government. And today, if people say they want independence, it can be justified because in Cameroon, no matter how competent you are, there are certain positions, Minister of Finance, you cannot be. If you say a country is one and indivisible, I should be able to attend any post in that country. That's what it means. In the United Kingdom, Scotland, they are minority, but we have Scottish Prime Minister, Scottish Chancellor, Scottish, that's how you live in the country. So the point is, as things stand, to me, people are calling, if you put a referendum today, I'm sure 90% they will say they want to leave that country, taking into consideration what the government is doing. Because the current president said in France, they try to integrate us. Do you know what integration means? Taking you to assimilate you, to live the life of the French people. What is wrong for us to live side by side among each other? That's our point. Scotland is doing their own things there. They are all in the United Kingdom. England is doing its own. They are there. So the government is that the one that's centralized. And I will say something which is, as a libertarian, there's something we don't know in Africa. After most Africans, they had a so-called independence. What happened? Something happened. People don't know. All of them, they say national unity. They went to one-party system. Do you know the people who engineered them to have one-party system is the West? They went there to collect the natural resources. If you have democracy, it will be difficult to take these resources. So they have to convince the Mobutu, the Mugabe, all those people, so they consolidated power, one powerful president. That is why, because they want to still be taking the natural resources. You see what is happening in Democratic Republic of Congo, one of the richest countries on planet Earth. But look what is going there. You look at.
Can I quickly cut in, please?
Yes,
I think you've not addressed the question that I asked. However, again, I think your response has been
I cannot speak for everyone. That's why I'm telling you. I can't speak for everyone. There are
I think, Mr. Daniel, if you want to know, I've met with groups
my
that
question
are
was specific.
Yeah,
my
I know.
question was specific.
I
Yes,
know what
I told you, this is my answer. My answer is brief. There are people who want to stay with the French Cameroon. They are minority. I told you 90% if there's referendum, they will leave. I made that, maybe you did not hear. If
clear.
there is a referendum today, 90% of English-speaking Cameroon will leave.
In any event, I asked that questions because I just wanted to know the position that either the people in the Anglo-Cameroonian, the position that they hold in terms of how they can strategize to achieve their aim, vis-a-vis any other position that could exist. If they are, if they plan to be,
there are difference of opinion, and the government is trying to bring divide.
Could I come in there? Could I come in there? Because
I need to be in control of this show.
Okay. Can I answer Otunba's question?
Just let me take control. Mr. Alex, let me take control of this. Okay. I didn't want to take. I don't want to say that was of the thing that Mr. Shegun decided to ask Alex a question. I only allowed it just as an exemption, but the way it is now, please let us follow the. Let me follow this.
Let me be in charge. What happens in Cameroon happens in Nigeria too. So
well, we are going to get
that. On the position of Mr. Daniel.
That's why I want to focus my response on Otunba's question.
I said that's exactly what I'm trying to say. I have met with many of the people who have been calling for an independent Western Cameroons. And I know their aim is like my namesake said, if a referendum is held today, they will opt out of main Cameroons because they they have been subjected to what I call internal slavery. I have friends from there. Some of them have PhDs and they're very intelligent, and then they just suppressed. They cannot hold any particular good position. One of them, a lady, Beatrice or something.
Well,
Yeah. So
Alex,
hold on. The answer you wanted to hear is that in Cameroons, in Western Cameroons, they want to be independent of the main Cameroons. They want out. That's the answer.
well,
Is it not,
again,
Okay.
Alex?
yeah,
Thank you for that clarification.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Can, can you go
can
ahead,
I-
Shegun Daniel, to answer
yeah.
it?
Um, well, the situation in Nigeria is it's a bit different because Nigeria is an independent nation. Currently, it's a sovereignty, and recently had an election, uh, which ushered in a new administration to govern the country. The elections were being challenged in the tribunal, which is acceptable and according to the laws that provided for it. Um, so far, there are simmering agitations within the body politic for some time. The different regions of the nation or zone or uh, region have been agitating for one thing or the other, depending on what they considered that are not being equitable. There are different nations within, or there are different groups within the nation that have reasons to agitate for one thing or the other. Particular of interest to me is the Yoruba agitation for nationhood, which I share, but I do not accept or share the modalities for which is being prosecuted. And I believe there has to be a good reason, one, for that agitation. No one has convinced me enough, other than because I'm a Yoruba, to simply say there is a need for that nation. Two, um, even if we have to, after we cross the Rubicon of existing or agitating for it, do we have a plan? Do we have a plot? Do we have a strategy for achieving our aim? So that we can have a review at every step that we are taking. And since this process is going to be very fluid and flexible, we will have a reason to tinker and manage it so that we can kind of change whatever needs to be changed to suit the situations of every circumstance along the line. But most importantly to me is one, we don't need to live in denial. Nigeria is an existing nation. If there is going to be a birth of any nation outside of Nigeria, it has to be with having a discussion with Nigeria. That means the birth of any new nation outside of Nigeria is a political process. It's a political question. It's going to bring the constitution into question. It's going to be all the laws governing the nation into question. And that where that can be tabled, that can be discussed, mostly has to be in the House of Parliament. That's the National Assembly in Nigeria. Anybody, any region, any group, that's what is sought in making such agitation, to seek political position in that house. That is where that matter can be tabled. It's not so much in the social media. It's not so much in the established media, TV, radio, or whatever. It's not so much. It's not so much campaigning to international bodies. It's not so much agitating or trying to take up arms. It's about taking the same rule, the constitution that established the nation. However, we should all know many nations have written constitutions that are very rigid, similar to Nigeria. Very, very rigid. But we should all realize one thing, that in that rigidity of the nature of the Constitution, it shot itself in the leg, because it says that the only group that can tinker with me, that can change me, that can do whatever with me, is the National Assembly. They can repeal part of it, they can rewrite part of it, they can jettison the whole of the Constitution if they so sit. That is an enormous power. That is where the locus is. That is where the target is. But people fail to realize we get moved by our emotions. They will not do it. They will not do, we started off like defeatists. That we get overwhelmed by emotions rather than seeing what we need to do. We don't strategize, we don't plan, we don't put things in motion. We don't get ready to say, this is the steps we will take. If we meet these encumbrances, this is how we deal with it. If we meet this obstacle, this is how we iron it out. Yes, sometimes you might even need to repeat it over and again on the same people. Yes, it's all part of the strategy. Not that you give up and say, we're not going to take it. Then that to me had always been a series of defeated moves. So in the Nigerian context, I said that one, I was privileged to be in Nigeria when that election took place. And I've come up with a lot of Willabalus and stories. As an eyewitness, I actually feel the election was, aside from the fact that there was a low turnout, the election was credible. The election to me is generally acceptable, except for those who are combatant in it, who find it difficult, and not sportsmen. Yes. And the procedures that it has moved to the litigation now, the procedures that are taking place at the tribunal, so far have shown me a distinct that people, the public, can actually be swayed for not knowing the truth, their right from their left. I've seen parties coming up and said, we won the election. We have the numbers that gave us this election. They got to the tribunal, they were not challenging the results. In their prayer before the tribunal, none of it is saying, this is the number that I have that won me the election. That wasn't their prayer. But they will come to the public and say, we won here, we won here, we won here, we won everything. We should be the one to have won. But they go there in the court where they need to establish their case. They're talking, you need to disqualify this person. This person did not get this vote. They are not talking of their own. He did not get this vote in this place. So he cannot merit what he got. He cannot be president. Oh, he's what is it called? Vice president nominee had a double. Those are correct. They're not going there to talk the talk of what they are feeding the public. They're telling the public,
they are educating us on the tribunal and not on the wrong moves of the Yoruba people who are calling for this thing. I think that's what we are trying to discuss.
Yeah, let me.
I have
question. Otunba's question was, what is my view of the position of the new government, new administration?
Oh, okay.
Yes, that was his question.
Yes.
That the new administration in Nigeria now, how do I rate it or its performance and all that? That was his question.
The last 60 days
yes.
or so.
Yes, that is being in power. So coming to, like I said, that election, it was ushered in, though it comes with its flavor and unperturbed or unwanted aroma from other side. Who doesn't believe it? Who doesn't believe? Oh gosh, what are we getting? Oh, I'm gone.
Okay,
Hello.
I think we're having challenges with one of my guests. While we are waiting for him to fix this technical problem himself.
Yeah, but if I can say something about what Mr. Daniel said, is it
Yeah,
okay?
just 1 minute, Alex. At this point, I think I want to appeal to friends and family, viewers out there to help us share this show, like it, love it, and help
Do you
us.
know, I've tried to look for to share it myself. I cannot share it. I've
I've
put
been sharing.
Otunba.
I sent it. I sent one to you already. It's on. It's going on YouTube and Facebook. But let me
It's,
send you a copy again. Yeah, it's going on well. So I think we need to wait for Mr. Dan. Mr. Daniel will come back and join us. Yeah, I think he's back now. Uh, are you okay now, Mr. Daniel?
Yeah, please pardon me. My phone battery just went dead.
Uh,
I just switched
are
to
you?
another device now.
Okay, okay,
Yes,
fair
I
enough.
am. I am.
Now, uh, I'm
Okay.
coming to you in a minute, but let me go back to Mr. Alex Ajala. You, I mean, you know exactly what the situation is with the campaign. Just let our viewer hear from you. What is the present situation? How far have we gone? Uh, Progress? Are we making progress, or are we still having to struggle with one or two things that maybe people who want to call in might be able to help? What's the update on Yoruba self-determination movement?
I will take it from Shegun Daniel's earlier statements. There's not a clarity at the initial stage. I was looking at certain documents
Hmm.
when we started this process. I don't call it agitation.
I call it campaign anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the process, you see, the problem with most of us face is understanding the dialectics of putting a case forward. There was one very important contribution I made that was messed up initially, which is bothering about the amalgam, which the Cameroonians escaped in 1961 out of the vote, if I may, I think Alex remembers, the vote was 51-49
Hmm.
to remain in Cameroons. And that happened because, I'm sorry, I have to divert to that, because I was very one of the saddest young men then, because some of my friends who I grew up like Christopher Endele, the son of
yeah,
our president, I said, so I'm going to miss him. And it was a deliberate act. Our prime minister refused to campaign in southern Cameroon. He campaigned only in the place now called Adamawa province.
yeah,
If you go back to the history. And when Zik and Aulo wanted to come and campaign British Cameroons, they were refused because they were not the head of state in Nigeria. That was how I would say we lost Cameroons. And I would say it would be much better for the Cameroons to be with us. And even when if they want to say they want to be on their own, it would be much easier because they could easily say they don't want to be part of an Igbo domination. And that will be understood. So, well, in the case of the process of calling for the sovereignty of Yoruba nation, we started with a very poor campaign strategy and positioning, where we should have said the amalgam has not paid Nigeria. We were saying amalgamation question. It doesn't mean anything to a Western journalist. I have some of the posters and T-shirts that was supposed to wear. I said, no, this is wrong. This is not how to position your argument of calling for a nationhood, either to even your people at home or the international community. I became a lone voice. Uh, my good friends remember that kept on saying we should have a blueprint of what to tell our people at home. Our people at home matter more than the noise we are making internationally. And some of our campaigns, when we say mega rally, you don't you don't describe a rally as a mega when you haven't done it. It is after you've done that mega rally, or after you've done the rally, and other people will describe it. Oh, this was a massive rally. You are preparing for a rally. You're already advertising. We are having a mega rally. You see, there are a lot of things wrong in the process, which we are trying to fix now because I'm deep into it. We need to speak to the minds and souls of our people at home that the future of our people does not lie in Nigeria. We missed the track. We were already going ahead from 1954 to 1962. That's the time I said it was the glory part of Western Nigeria. That I can analyze clearly to anybody who wishes to hear. By 1964, we set up a health service that was in line with the national health service in Britain here, and free education, qualitative education, agricultural development. All these things are the things we should have used as campaign strategy to our people. I said it's not about positioning. Mr. Daniel, you will not have heard my name anywhere as a chairman of one group or the other. I am not. That is not my interest. My interest is the people at home. Do they know that their future does not lie in Nigeria? Deliberately in 1959, they closed Nigeria power station, all because we were developing too rapidly. Deliberately, the Balewa government refused to do everything like the sewage system that was supposed to have been built in Lagos, Ibadan, and other cities, because it was not their own part of the country.
Yeah,
They
but,
told
let me
no,
quickly interject you there. Let me interject you, Alex. Isn't
let
that, Alex? Just 1 second. Isn't
yeah.
that also a problem that we have problem with the leadership around that time that they weren't interested in in
An
Yoruba
independent Yoruba
and
nation.
independent. Isn't
Uh,
that true? That
uh,
it because look, listen, the list of achievements we have around that time. How
Was
many
within
years ago?
Nigeria.
Within Nigeria, we could have
within no, not within Nigeria, within Western region. Don't make
Western
that
region.
mistake.
Western region within Nigeria.
Western region was still within Nigeria, Mr. Alex. But hold on,
Listen,
no,
this
hold on
is
a minute.
the
Even
problem
at
of
that,
definition
even
and
at that,
clarity.
even at that, I'm going to allow you to continue now. Even at that, Alex, isn't that a problem? Isn't that wasn't that a problem for Yoruba people because we are now campaigning for Yoruba nation out of Nigeria, and like I've always said to everybody I know, nobody can do that for us. It has to be we Yoruba people. There's no other method. Tell the whole world if I'm
That
wrong.
that's exactly what I'm trying to explain to you, and
But
that is what Shegun Daniel says. We have to have a clear vision of what we need and what we need to reach out to our people. Although they are hearing different stories, oh, our console Yoruba nation, but do they know what and why? That
Yes.
is the why we are now trying to address. And we are going to come out with a very powerful position of campaigning. All the elements of the campaign I'm not going to expose now. When
that's
it
fine.
comes, it will come. And we are not disturbing Bola Tinubu from running his government. And it is we are not going to even get into the minds and souls of the people at this thing because they should wake up to reality. Most of the time they sit down in that house of rep and some people from the north will start speaking their language, and even a former uh, uh, attorney general Malami conducted a world press conference in Fula, a world press conference. Is telling us that we are not one, yet generally we say we are the same people. What type of the same people is it? It's just like we should, you see, we should prove these points to our people. They should wake
exactly,
up.
exactly.
Become jiggery. See, and even our farms are now being taken over by these Fulani people.
That,
My
that,
farm, unfortunately, I'm one of typical sufferer of it. I don't know if I was at home, maybe I would have been killed on my farm by now. You see, the Africans should define. And one thing most people don't realize that the Fulanis and the North they are planning an Arewa Islamic Republic for 2026. I know of that. Yet we are sitting down and calling Nigeria Nigeria, God bless. What is Nigeria Shigidi to be blessed?
well, that's a good.
And then we call ourselves nations when we are not nation.
Well,
A nation is made of a people of a common ancestral origin, and that is what has happened in Europe. And common language, common culture. Just straw, if you can find the paper which he read during his first conference at the Foreign Ministers Conference under Tony Blair. This first sentence was clear when they were talking about Massachusetts. Lawyer Lisung, you remember maybe Tony Blair's foreign minister.
yeah, but Alex,
okay.
Alex,
He said clearly, and which is what I hold on to, and which the anthropological analysis of people do agree and attest to. People of a common ancestral origin, common language, common culture, common tradition will work better in their own individual nations. That is why Botswana is developing rapidly, because all of them speak Tswana language, and they will not steal from their pocket, because they believe the wealth of that country belongs to all of them, and they are using it effectively, and it's the fastest growing economy in Africa. That was what Western region was about until 1962, when the whole thing collapsed.
Yeah, well, again, like I said, we need to blame ourselves for that. Don't let us, because if we have put everything we have into wanting to hold on to our region, by now we would have gotten it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't have a lead. I mean, we have a wonderful leader,
but he was more interested in Pan-Africanism.
Yeah, but let me quickly go back to Shegun Daniel again. I'm coming to you in a minute, Alex. Are you okay with your device now? Is it steady now?
Yes, it's okay.
You heard what Mr. Alex Ajala. He agreed with you that there's more to be done in terms of sensitizing our people, the Yoruba people. But is it also safe? Is it also safe to say that we cannot have a 100% homogeneity, like it has to be only Yoruba people in the country? Is that possible?
Yeah. You see, I don't see where development is having. I have not seen the correlation of homogeneity of ethnicity with development. It has never been established. It has never been established.
You haven't started. Check.
Well, give us example one, Mr. Alex.
Please don't go on to explain that.
Please quote me one.
The former Prime Minister of Malaysia, he was asked that, has he got any regret? Can I say, the former Prime Minister of Malaysia, have you got any regret in your country because he was a good Prime Minister? He said he tried to develop certain people, but because of their culture, it was impossible to develop them. So culture too can be a hindrance to some people. That's what he said.
What about the countries in Europe? I just mentioned that 34 new countries emerged on the lines of their homogeneity.
It's easier. It's easier to go as a country. In constitutional law, when you have a homogeneous country, you can have what? A unity state. When you have a heterogeneous country, you have what? You have a federal form of the government. It's easier. You see, look at Senegal. Then you look at Cameroon with 250 languages. Then look at Senegal. They are more united. So it's easier to run a country that's homogeneous.
Okay.
Well, okay.
Can I cite you an instance?
Yeah, go on.
UK that you are all living.
No, it's
It's
not.
not an
It's not.
homogeneous nation.
United.
And it's a very progressive, highly
United.
developed country. The problem is when people see diversity as problem, it will constitute a problem.
But
We
Scotland have got its own parliament.
can I
Irish
Let
finish?
people,
me
Northern Ireland have got their parliament, and Welsh have got their parliament. That is why they are living the way they are living. If Igbo, Yoruba, they were in Nigeria, existing as Igbo nation inside a country, they would have been better. But when you want to make one size fit all, it's difficult. You cannot say everybody
This
in
is
Nigeria should eat Mao Mai. That's the problem. If you allow them to
And
exist
I
as a
just
nation
mentioned
or a kingdom
Botswana.
inside Nigeria,
So
like
you are
United
now in
Kingdom,
denial that you don't know
Scotland, they are
about
Scottish people. They have their
Botswana,
parliament.
Mr.
They
Daniel.
decide on their education, on taxation, on policing, on nearly everything. But do the Yoruba people in Nigeria, do they decide on their own thing? I'm sure the central government will want to impose things on them.
what
Well,
I cannot understand is this, and I want you to permit to express it. How a black man, an African, comes to Europe and prosper? He doesn't see the hindrance of ethnicity, race, and all that. Even if there are, he surmounts them to prosper in Europe. But in his own
Which
country,
Africans,
pardon
white
me, let
people
me
to go
finish.
to Africa and
Pardon
prosper?
me. Can you please let me finish? But in his own home country, people that have lived side by side his ethnic group for thousands of years, suddenly because of economic reasons, seems to become his burden. They become those who are not letting him live. And he feels only his own race, when they are together, is the only time he can prosper. That to me is a mismatch. That he could come into another environment where there is diversity and he fit into it and successfully perform. And he cannot say that, let me bring those skill sets back here and harmonize that whatever differences is here
Sorry, do you
to
know why
make
I'm
them,
laughing? Some
to
of
make
my
them.
seniors here in Britain went back home because they were Yorubas, were sent back. They had 2-year sabbatical. Top communication engineers. They wanted to offer their service to rescue our communication system. They were refused because they were Yorubas. You see, Mr. Daniel, I agree with the way you're looking at it in your perception, but I would disagree totally that about what do you call it, diversity. Diversity has a limit. Even here, Britain, diversity has been limited. That's one thing you don't realize. It's been limited. So it is about race and people. That's the question in Africa now. If we do not address it, Africa will never develop. That's a fact.
so what you are saying is Yoruba has to be a Yoruba country. There cannot be mismatch. We cannot.
The Igbos have to be an Igbo country. The
Then
Arewa have been agitating, and they have the
now,
papers already put in
now
place. They are not
let
making.
me
They are targeting 2026. If you check
let,
the records,
Mr.
to be
let me
independent
Mr.
of
Isinghe,
Nigeria.
just a
And
minute.
that is why they have developed and
Mr.
opened the
Daniel,
borders
Mr. Daniel,
of Niger.
let me
Mr.
quickly add
And they are going
let
to
me
join
quickly
them.
add another thing, please. What we fail to understand in this as well is, even if we have an independent nation, let's say in this instance, Yoruba nation, the eastern Nigeria, which is Igbos, let's say they exist as a nation as well, and the Arewa, which is in the north, it still means that we will still be congruent with each other. It is just about political entity. It still means that we will still have to be fluid. We will share borders with each other. Only this
Exactly.
time it will be a concrete border or an established border zone.
No,
Prior to that, we are fluid, we
I
can
agree
move
with you on
easily.
that
No.
level.
But pardon me, that means that in reality, we are running from nothing. Yes,
Listen,
we're
The
not
reality
going
do,
to.
we are
do,
running
do you know that more
for
than
freedom,
100 years ago,
well,
Republic of Ireland was given independence from Britain, but they still have the right to enter this country and do everything. So when you're mixing those things, it
they
doesn't
are
mean
mixing things
if
up.
Yoruba
That
have
does
an
not
autonomy or
that does
independence,
not
it
stop
doesn't mean
us
that
from
Igbo man cannot come and live
cooperating
in
with
Yoruba
the
land.
Igbo
So you're
or Hausa.
mixing those things. These are two
If you
different
agree,
things.
if you
Ireland, I went
agree,
to Republic of Ireland. Republic of Ireland, there is no difference from Republic of Ireland and Britain. Irish Times, Irish Sun, they used to use their own dollars. They send shop Marks and Spencer. They used to come here border free before European Union. They don't need visa. But they were what? Independent Irish people. So sometimes you need
you
to
know
give
why that
somebody that
happened?
independence so that you can live together. That is the point. When an Igbo
You
man knows I can practice my Igbo culture freely inside Nigeria, they will be free now, maybe to be visa free and do things together. But when you want to impose, I'm giving this like Mr. Alex, my namesake, was talking about how they can encourage the people. It is very simple. Once as you have you all know there's major political party and minor political party in the UK, like Scottish National Party. If you want, like the Yoruba people, they have a political party during election. They put a manifesto, then they put candidate. When you start winning your seat, it means the people have given you mandate. And you can say, like Sean Penn political party in Northern Ireland, when they usually win seats, Jerry Adam, Martin McGuinness, they say we are not coming to Westminster. That is a mandate. That is democracy. I'm sure the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is part of Nigerian Constitution, which you have freedom of opinion and belief. So if you stop a Yoruba man or an Igbo man that you cannot talk about your political belief of autonomy, it means you're infringing on that person's constitutional right.
Let me come in here, Alex. As we speak, we have 37. Well, we have 36 states, to be very honest.
say,
The 36 states are based on the indigenous
the architectures could vie
states.
for political position.
And as we speak, also, each of these states, apart from the federal status of foreign affairs, military, and one or two or three other things, most of these states are clearly defined to rule themselves, to govern themselves. May not be as 100% as the Ireland, Welsh, and Scottish. But the point I'm trying to suggest here is we need to get certain things right. I agree that we are making. I mean, if we were to depart from the country called Nigeria tomorrow, we should be able to probably do better. But there's no way we can be 100% not getting to do diversity. It's not possible. In Europe, Europe are trying to have a plastic diversity because most of their success can also be traced to people from other countries. So I'm not too sure whether there's any country on earth that's going to be 100% on their own without element of diversity. Uh, let me ask Alex.
I would
Alex
prefer
again.
element of cooperation, not diversity.
Yeah, well, okay, that well, uh,
That's
Mr.
the fact, because you have to cooperate to develop along lines, and that was one of the my first sing song in the 1990s, if you remember. That is separation for cooperation. That we develop our roads jointly together to be able to, and railway and some other facilities that will enable our joint development, but under different countries.
Okay, let
And
me
I
let me let me
advocated that,
move.
and I told even the leadership in the north, including Adobe Bayero, when he sent somebody to me in 2000, year 2000. You see, we are running away from the truth. If we do not address this, we will underdevelop the people. The people are going to suffer, and they are already suffering.
Okay, let me move to another area I want to discuss with Lisinge also. Uh, Lisinge, Mr. Alex,
Yeah.
as is again, I'm sure I've asked this question again. I want to ask you again. It's a kind of impasse. Your area of Cameroon is not penetrating. You're completely shut out. You have no access to the mainstream governance in Cameroon. Uh, what exactly do you think you are doing that is not right? Or you think everything you are doing is right?
I don't. The point is, we are doing certain things that are right, and I have it from a great source in the Cameroon government. They are not happy with my ideology. They like people to make noise on social media. Then they go behind the scenes. They try to bribe them behind the scenes. That's our problem. But what I've realized, as Mr. Alex said, people positioning themselves. You need people who are serious and who can sit. And as I say, we have a party that will stand for election and take the seats, because if you take the parliamentary seat and local seat, they cannot argue with us. But unfortunately for us, there is a saying in Cameroon, if you follow Cameroon very well, anything that happens, they say, we thank the head of state. If you follow Mr. Bian in Russia, I saw people with PhD in Cameroon, oh, that man is a God gift. Some people with PhD in Cameroon, they say, oh, I want him to be president for a lifetime. So you see, I don't know whether we are suffering for something zombie or whatsoever, because you kill talent. As I see, people with PhD in Cameroon. Today I
I know
saw
what you're
comments.
talking.
People are saying Bia spoke. Oh, Bia is a God gift. What a talent. Somebody who doesn't talk to you. Mr. Bia is only comfortable out of Cameroon. You don't see him. He cannot answer impromptu questions. He goes and prepares his speech. I don't hate Mr. Bia personally. As a president, to me, he's not fit. He's not governing the country. If you look in Cameroon, there are positions like where I come from. The oil refineries from my area. Since that oil refinery gets into 50 years, an Anglophone can never be director general there. Hydrocarbon in Cameroon, an Anglophone can never be there. Ministry of Finance, an Anglophone can never be there. When you look line of succession from Pobia, you go up to number 6 before an Anglophone comes there. Then you see, I don't
You're
understand.
lucky.
It's as if you're living in a marriage. They don't like you as a woman, but they are still forcing you to stay there. So
Okay.
they understand what is going on. It's a difficult situation. And when I sit like on the platform, I'm talking about Cameroon. I'm not talking about the civilian, the people who are French and English speaking. I like them. I have friends from all sides of Cameroon.
Yeah.
But when I'm talking about the cabal, the oligarchy that they are running the country, if you look at Mr. Bia, most of his people that he appointed, he has put them in prison. So you see, he's running a criminal syndicate. He has put nearly half of his ministers in prison. In the UK, if you appoint ministers upon ministers who are going to prison embezzling money, they will say you don't have a sense of judgment and you have to resign. But that can never happen in that country.
Okay.
Again, recently they gave somebody called Minister of Territorial Administration. They said they have given the English speaking a minister. I said, no, he's not for English speaking. He's Minister of Territorial Administration for the entire country. So you see the thing, they divide posts based on where you come from, and sometimes certain position you cannot get there. It's a system that, as the government, to me, the secessionist is the government of Cameroon, not the Anglophones. Because when you treat somebody, if there is domestic violence in the house, the person who is causing the violence is a call for consent. So if you ask me, the government of Cameroon is the secessionist because they are treating the Anglophone badly.
Okay. No doubt about that. I agree with you. I'm also an activist. Let me go to some other area. Like I said, this program is all about on and about. Uh, Mr. Shegun, let me ask you this question. There's this ongoing tongue wagging all over the place that a Nigerian called Asari Dokubo is trying to set up a paramilitary openly, and he's doing that because he has the back of the president. What are you seeing? What do you think is happening?
I've seen some video clips showing the gentleman you mentioned, his name, Asari Dokubo, in company of large crowd of other individuals who, who, who apparently look like maybe militant. You get it. And there are some Some stories I've had, which have not seen anything to the credit of it, uh, most of them were brandishing uh, weaponry. My position is this. The public had been inundated with a lot of those kind of videos and pictures. But so far, Nigeria is a country that is governed by law. No one has taken a detailed look at it in this way, that in spite of those videos and pictures, the security operatives have not moved against Alhaji Atari Dokubo, particularly in respect of protection of firearms. That to me could indicate, and I'm being speculative, could indicate that he was actually licensed to carry those arms. So that's why they probably do not see any reason why they need to move against him. But for the public, it might have annoyed their nuances, it might have annoyed their sensibility that an individual could brandish firearms in an open way. That is the problem of not understanding details of issues, where emotions run high than having. Asari Dokubo runs a security outfit as well. He managed some contracts with government where he monitors the pipeline right of way. So he might even deploy most of these people that we have seen with him in those videos to do his job. There are many of them in the Niger Delta that have such contracts with government. So making an interpretation to a video clip where he is in the midst of his group of people that he uses, whether they are his employees, will not make any sense for creating a public opinion that is skewed. That is the problem I have with the system in Nigeria. That anybody could just certainly piece few things together and give a narration that is jaundiced. So far, the reaction, and I know it's a public knowledge to the security operative, if he had done anything untoward, in those videos he had not shot anyone, he had not put anybody in harm's way, he only showed, yes, he had in police protection firearm. And nobody, none of the security operatives, neither police, DSS or whatever, have
Okay.
gone to say that we're questioning him for it or whatever. And he's at liberty to make political statements. If you don't enjoy, accept his political statement, at least you can guarantee him right to do so. That he has right to say, I'm in support of President Tinubu, or I'm not in support of President Tinubu. It is his prerogative to say whatever you want to. If he had said anything that will put national security or anything whatsoever in contravention of Nigerian law, I believe that those who are constituted authorities to challenge him on that will have done their job. It is not so being emotional or speculative about it. I like to deal with facts. Most times, people get emotional over matters and they repeat the question or the problem over and over. What I find very, very absent in all of it is solution. I
Okay.
do not see where the tabled solution and the strategy to achieve those solutions. That had
Okay.
been my major problem, particularly for those in the fold of this agitation. It had always been complaint galore. They don't let us do this. They cannot let us have this. They can. What is it? Why is it wrong for us to sit and say, this is how we can get there? If
Okay.
it is a political power, this is how we need to organize ourselves to secure political power. Mind you, recently I've researched into what protest is. For some reason, particularly in Nigeria now, and recently too, an individual that I actually want to take up a challenge with. they've kind of given a narrative in the society that protest, strike, or rally could be used as a weapon of subversion, as a weapon to bring down a government. No, it is not. It shouldn't be. Whether if in military, which is not a constituted authority, maybe that could be allowed. But in a democracy which is properly constituted government, it is not. In Europe, we have seen it. France had gone boiling over protest for what is it called? Age, retirement age. Even when a teenager was killed, that did not translate to bringing down the government. Protest was to show that you are in disapproval of certain things that the government or those who are governing are doing. Is to register your protest for them to have a change of opinion or a change of policy. It is not a subversive move. I hear in Nigeria people saying we are going to go out and bring this government down. That is a subversion. And I must remind everybody that it is only a constituted government in a sovereignty that has monopoly of violence. It is the only government that can use force, yes, legally, to crush anybody.
Okay.
Yes. If protest is taken in such dimension, then there is something really, really wrong with us. And okay.
Well,
Thank
well,
you. Let me come to you, Alex. Alex.
I think Shegun had mentioned something that is very critical in this discussion. You say the government has monopoly of violence. I disagree totally with that.
Me too.
Okay.
Who makes
Me too.
the government? Is it not the people
Sovereign
that
people.
decide to put people there? If the people withdraw that support, let me give you a typical example. A chief of
Can I quickly
armed robbers.
pardon me?
Hold on,
Is there a process for the people to remove that government?
that is when they know why.
A government can become
That
illegitimate.
government has
Is
to be
there a
removed.
process? Is there a constituted process?
You must not always follow an
the
election to
awareness of
remove
the people
a
of the fact
government.
that this government is not serving their
Can
purpose.
you let him answer? Is there a legal process to remove that government?
The sovereign people
Because
can
what you
protest
said
and
is,
remove the government.
what you said is,
They
the
can
people
remove a
put the
government anytime.
Pardon me, can you let him answer, please? What you said is, the people put the government there. That means they must have done so legally. There must be a reversal, a way to remove that government
And
legally.
first of all, they send bills to the house, and if the people who are there refuse, then the people have a right to rise.
Do you know?
Let me tell
Do
you.
you know what the
When
that right is not enshrined in law.
When Russia was Soviet Union was about to break,
just one quick point.
You said, monopoly of power. The army came out.
Let me add one quick point.
But what happened? The people rose and said, "Come over." Then the army now said, "We are supposed to defend the integrity of the country, not to kill our people." So you are saying that the government has a monopoly to just wipe out people who say we don't want. That is not right.
One quick point.
That's not what I said.
One quick point. Listen, this is a very important legal point I want to make on that. Do you know something? One of the characteristics of a failed state is that the government has lost monopoly over its territory or this thing. So it doesn't have violence. If you want to classify a failed state, one of it is that they have lost monopoly over its territory for violence.
I've not spoken of failed state.
Listen, I'm telling you, it's a legal thing. One of the characteristics, if you cannot control part of your territory, you've lost monopoly over violence. That's one of the characteristics of a failed state. So you cannot say a government has monopoly over the people. You can't say for violence. One, as a government, you don't go there to exercise violence. You go there to govern the people. You go there to protect their
So
fundamental
I,
rights.
I think
So if you say
I think
the
you
government have monopoly now, you're saying that the
Uh,
government is the beast.
I
Alex,
think you
Alex,
misunderstood my use of violence. Please let me clarify. What I meant when I said government have monopoly of violence is government have the monopoly of use of force. Maybe that will make it clearer
They
to
don't
you.
even have the
No,
monopoly.
no,
I'll
no.
still
And then
correct you
Don't
there.
violence,
go
of
into the
course,
Government, this is the
has
point
no
that you have to
monopoly
make.
of that.
Government have the powers or the constitutional right to provide national security, enforce laws to protect people. That's what you should say. When you say violence, no government have the right to use violence. No government,
I
only a
just
dictator.
enunciated that for you,
Government
for
has
your
the power to
understanding.
provide national security, enforce law and order. That is their power. But you won't use that word, violence.
let me come.
Why do we have why do we have problem here?
Mr. Daniel,
I've simply
you
We are
explained to
talking on the
you
basis of
the
what you said.
context. Wait, I've simply explained to you the context in which I use the word violence. And I believe when I used it and you are repeating it, you misunderstood it. And I made a clarification. Yet you are going back and forth on it. I think you deliberately creating a conflict. I have told
There's no
you
conflict
right now
here.
Government hasn't got
that
any
You
power
brought
to
it
use
up.
violence.
maybe
No
you did
government on
not
earth except
understand that
dictator.
context.
yeah,
I told you.
I must stop you there, Mr. Daniel. You're making me redundant in my on my show because three of you are ganging up. We want to use the monopoly of majorities. We want to stop now.
The tyranny of the majority.
This is a very relaxed show. I am happy to watch you not talking across each other, but talking together. Now, let me come to you, Alex Ajala. Uh, as we speak now, we have a new government that has that can run the first 4 years and another 4 years, making total of 8 years. What do you think we, the campaigners, because I am very proud, I'm proud Yoruba, I'm proud campaigner. The only thing is I'm sometimes weary of the way we are campaigning, the method, the mode, the modality, the modules and so on. And that is what concerns me sometimes. And that's why I've chosen to refer back a little bit. Now, what should we be doing the next 4 years with relating to our campaign, Alex? What should we be doing with this
The question
government?
would be, what should we be doing now?
That's something. Well, yeah, what should we be doing now? Yeah.
So, and I think I did explain initially, we have to get grip to how we reach out to our people. It is not only the international community that needs to hear that there's going to be an emerging Yoruba sovereign nation. I use the word there's going to be an emerging Yoruba nation. Nothing can stop that. But before it emerges, we have to reach out to our people, right from the people in Atijere, Okeluse, Igboho, Kisi, everywhere. The modality of that reaching out, I don't want to explain that because it has to be something using uh, my research into the history of revolution or 500 years of revolution. There are things we need to do. We have not done it. Most of our people are busy ganging up in forming different organizations and then saying, I'm president of so Yoruba, that's something. I'm president of that is not the issue. We should be coordinating our efforts to reach out to our people through a very incisive campaign. It is not
Do you then
difficult.
agree? Do you then agree that this is a political process, is a movement that has to be willed, it has to be oiled, it has to be carried?
I
It,
would not want to. I would not want to call it a political process. I would call it a level of awareness of a definition of who are we and what do we want. Where are we going?
let us
Before
assume
that,
that we have
where
achieved
are we
75%
going?
of that. Are we still not going to use the political process to present our case before the 200 million Nigerians, including ourselves?
Well, what do you mean by political process? Forming a political party against APC and PDP or
No,
whatever?
no. We can even
First of
Well,
use.
all, Even if
Yeah,
at that.
yeah,
No,
that's what I'm
no,
saying.
I don't believe we can, because I don't want us to end up with what I will call a one-party state.
No,
What
no,
is
that's
one
not.
partition?
Yeah,
No,
I don't want us to end up with that. I want us to
What is
end
one
up with the
partition?
way Awolowo ran Western region, with because there were certain times during the House, the NCNC contributed to some of the development projects that the Action Group executed. I know that. I grew up in that era.
yeah,
So
the
what
same thing
So,
with me.
is
so,
fear from one party?
so so a one-party system will be authoritarian. It will be a feudal
It,
oligarchy. We
but
don't want
also,
that. Even in fact,
Alex,
the Yoruba people have never allowed such a thing to happen, and that is why the Bashorunga
Wait,
was excised from Yoruba land into southern Accra in Ghana,
all
where
right,
they now
if
exist.
if we
Daniel,
sanitize the whole of Yoruba people,
Mr. Daniel,
if we
uh,
sanitize the whole of Nigerian people back in Nigeria, how do we get Yoruba nation? Let's say 80% of Nigerians or Yorubas in the west of Nigeria are already clamoring. How do we get it? Even if at home 80% want Yoruba nation, how do
that's my
we
That
question.
proceed?
that is where what this my namesake had explained some things. We are getting to a level whereby we can now stand up and call for a deposition worldwide to announce the interest and the wishes of our people. And we are calling for a separate referendum to prove to the world that
The
our
national
people no longer
declaration.
want. Hold on, don't interrupt me, please. Please, I'm sorry I have to say that. Listen to what I'm saying. I've listened to you. You challenged me with that question, so let me answer it properly. You see, we will have to. Do you know about East Timor or
Yeah, I
Timor-Leste?
do. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened? What happened there? What
East, East
happened?
Timor was East Timor was from Nepal, is it?
No, you don't. You don't.
No, no, no. That's from what is it called? This part of India. Uh,
It's part of
It's
the.
where?
never near that place. Listen, that is why I say it's very good to listen. I listened to you, everything you said. So listen to me
Okay.
too. East Timor is part of Indonesia. Do you have East Timor and West Timor? The Indonesian
Well,
government
go on.
campaigned against the independence of East Timor and West Timor. They won in
Okay.
the West Timor. This Timor-Leste, which is now called Timor-Leste, if you Google it, that's the
Okay.
name, Timor-Leste,
I'm listening.
voted to become independent. They're just 1 million people, and they are independent and they are progressing rapidly now because they were subjected to the type of situation that is happening to the people of Western Cameroons at the time. Now they are in independence. The president drives his own car. He doesn't have an entourage of retinue of people who are coming after him. The only time somebody tried to protest, and when they caught him for treason, yeah, he invited him and said, "Okay, what's your problem? Can you explain?" Then, when he stated his own full problems, then the president said, "Okay, we have to solve your problem so that you will not have a reason to rise up." You see,
Well, but I
na-
still want you to answer my
nations,
question.
You see, I've
nations.
not answered the
So,
question. I said,
you
where
see,
do we
Hold on.
go
the
from there?
question when listen, I've not finished.
Okay.
When we do that, when we do our deposition to the world, we will call for a United Nations uh, supervised referendum to prove to the world that the Yoruba people 80%
So
no longer
how do
want to be
how
part of
how
it.
do we do that? How do we
It's
do that?
You go and call
it's just
United
like
Nations.
there is the process and procedure. You don't keep
So
quiet
United
when you have
Nations
got
will,
that level of understanding that our people no longer the leadership of the organization that is calling for the for sovereignty will now approach the United Nations and call for a referendum to sanction the fact that these people 80%, like I'm very happy you said it, 80%, Shengu
yeah,
Daniel. uh, I'm
yes.
very happy. We're at 80%, we are already there. But not there finally. We have to have a referendum to confirm that really 80% of the
Uh,
people no longer want to
My
be part of it.
Can I add
And
the
hold
my
on,
solution there?
and that
disagreement
the
with
answer I'm
you,
asking is deserved.
Alex, I would like to
my
add on what
disag-
you said.
My disagreement with you is, how do you bring in United Nations to come
Can
and
I answer
conduct?
you, Daniel?
United
Daniel,
Nations
I want to
already
tell
know
you because
about
it's
it.
existing.
Alex
United
Lisinga, I'll
Nations
come back
know
to you in a
about
minute.
agitation. That's one thing.
I'll come
I
back
would
to you
just
in a
like
minute.
to add on what they are saying, which another example that are
I'll come back
existing.
to you. I promise.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you in a minute. Yeah, Alex Ajala, all I'm still saying
No,
is, are you saying to
The
us, or are you saying to the world
United
that
Nations will come and conduct the
United Nations
we supervise, not conduct. Supervise.
supervise what? How do
then
we
how
get
do you
The
arrive at the how
referendum.
do you
Is it
arrive at
done?
the referendum?
Go back to East Timor. How was it done? Yes, just supervise the referendum that was conducted by the people. The Indonesian government also
Wait,
were there. They refused. They bribed the people of West Timorese to retain to say we want to be part of Indonesia. East Timor said that we don't want to be part of it. It was through a referendum.
referendum
And
by
let me tell you
maybe
one
the
thing.
lacune,
Obasanjo
maybe the
ran
lacune,
away from this. All right, Obasanjo ran away from this in,
maybe
during his.
the lacuna is this.
We
I
called
think
for the conference of nationalities. Instead, he of sovereignty, the decide of sovereignty. Even the same thing happened in 2014 when Northerners were calling for the dissolution of the country. It was us Yorubas who were opposed to it. Go and look at the
what
records.
what I'm trying to get is this. If United Nations is going to come in capacity of supervising, it's a different ballgame. If Yoruba have gotten, if their poll is right, they have gotten 80% of people in Western Nigeria supportive of a Yoruba nation. I'm
Yeah.
asking, how do we proceed? Is it that we need to meet with the government of Nigeria and request for that referendum?
No.
Because it's
No.
only when the government of
No.
Nigeria
No,
will
no,
have
no,
that
no.
dialogue
It's
with
not
you.
the
Oh, okay,
government of Nigeria has no
tell
hand
me
in
the
this.
modality.
Hello?
Yeah,
As at that point in
yes.
time, the government has broken down. When 80%
Ah,
of a station says they don't. Yes. Because even the governors on their states also have no power over their citizens anymore. As at that time, that's one thing you should realize. That happens
so there will
worldwide. The governments,
I
the
think
so-called
no, you
state
are
governments
creating
were
the
broken down. Yes.
it will have broken down.
let me go
Yes.
to Alex
How
Lisinga.
don't you conduct referendum in that
It's not about
environment?
belief.
Alex Lisinga.
The
Yeah,
national government
yeah.
has
My
no
point
control
is,
over it.
I want to clarify certain things. You see, what you're talking about, Nigeria. Sometimes we're a little bit confused. I will tell you something. A country like Switzerland, most countries are created based on culture. Switzerland have got English, German, French, Italian, Romania inside Switzerland. Do you know what
Yes.
they have?
Yes,
A confederation. It means Yoruba can live inside there like a country. It means that they have cantons and communes. They have confederation. It means different countries can live there. It means Yoruba country autonomy can live inside Nigeria. I'll give you an example. These people have the same problem in Belgium. What do they have? They have Flemish. They have French, they have English, the Flemish, they have plans Bilan. They have their Flemish organization inside there. They are living inside Belgium, the same country.
Alex.
They
Alex.
do their Flemish, everything, their culture. You go against French
yes.
inside Belgium. So I don't know why we are so worried that Yoruba Igbo. All it doesn't mean, like me, I can be a Yoruba man. If I love my Igbo culture, it doesn't stop me to go and meet there and live there. We are having a little bit of that fear.
But Mr.
All the
Alex,
majority of the countries
And
in
Alex.
Western,
see, excuse
Alex.
me,
Mr.
Can
Alex,
I?
that sounds
This,
like the
parliament is
first
not about
question
this,
I
fear.
asked.
I'm
It's
talking
about
now.
Mr. Alex,
all
that sounds
Daniel,
like you are
Daniel,
coming to the first question
please,
I
Daniel,
asked you.
Daniel, please, let
I
me
did,
be,
pardon me, sir. I
let
did
me,
ask you then, that was the first question I asked. I said, is it that the Anglo-Cameroonians want an existing nation within the Cameroon, or they want outside of it? What you have described in the case of Switzerland and Belgium, you have
let me
given
give
a
you my clear answer
situation.
again.
Pardon
Let
me,
me give you the
pardon me.
answer. I know what you're saying is that you don't want to understand me. Let me make you to
I'm
understand
trying
it.
to let
In
you
the
know that
United Kingdom, listen,
both
wait,
ways can
wait,
exist.
can I give you
You
the
can
answer
have
of
a
the
nation
Anglophone? Can
state.
I
Mr.
give you the Anglophone?
Daniel, can I please now take control of this show?
Let me talk about the
Hold
Anglophones.
on. Oh, okay,
30
Mr. Daniel.
seconds.
30 seconds. Let me, okay.
30 seconds.
Yeah, please, 30 seconds. Please go ahead.
Daniel, what I'm saying, the Anglophones, there is something in politics they call union. Those who want the English speaking to remain with the French. There's someone they call independentists or separatists, those who want to leave. My answer is 90% or 95%, they want to get out of it. So when you say the Anglophone, you're joining all. There are difference of opinion. Minority would like to stay. So I'm giving you an answer that some would like to stay. The minority, majority will leave. I've answered your question clearly.
Okay, good. Now, yeah, that's what you should have done earlier. That
That's
once you know what
what
position that they want. In this case, this other one that you just mentioned, you have given a good reason how they can cohabit. Do you get it?
and
That in spite,
some they still want to leave. Some
no,
they
no,
want
no,
to
no. I'm
leave
talking
inside that
of the
country. In
Switzerland
Switzerland,
and
there are people who want to separate. In Belgium, there are people who want to separate. In UK, there are people who want to separate. Separation is a political opinion. It's a constitutional right.
oh, am I missing something? I thought the
You
description
didn't
you
miss
gave in
anything.
Switzerland is
Separation is a
that of
constitutional right.
different
I have
nationality
given you another
cohabiting.
position. Any person have got a right in a democracy to say, I want to separate. It's a political opinion.
Good. And that's why I said this agitation in our own case is a political thing too. I don't see why people failed to understand that as well.
Life
I
is
said,
politics.
I said it's a political thing. But
Well,
what most have failed to understand is they don't want politicians to participate. They're thinking that this will just happen. I said we need to recognize that to get it is a political movement, is a political question that needs political attention. That's my position. But
That's a
this
different,
idea
that's a
that
different,
it has
different
just to
thing now.
be, it has just to
I'm
be
not
campaign
disagreeing with you on
and
that one. To
campaign.
me, life is politics. When you talk about increasing tax
God bless
or
you.
cost of living, all those things are politics. That's life.
God bless you. God bless you. It has to be, it's not just about campaigning. And that's why I said, I give that scenario that if you have 80% of people still saying we want to be out, how do we address it? It has to go to the House of Assembly in Nigeria to demand for that referendum. That's the truth. And that is a political movement. You must have representative there who can put it before that house. If you are shying away from taking that step, then you are dancing around the whole problem. It is not just about campaigning for people without getting the things done. That's what I'm saying. We need to have a strategic plan. I'm a strategic planner. You need to have it all on the table. This, when we get here, this is how we proceed. You cannot rule that out. What I've noticed with people is, ab initio, they are defeatists. They take it, the politicians we are not going to do our bidding. If politicians, strategic thinking, if politicians are not going to do your bidding, make yourself politician. If you trust yourself. If you can't trust someone else, trust yourself. Then put yourself forward. You don't sit down, keep complaining. That's talk shop. If you identify that this problem is a political problem, only in politics can it be solved, and you are condemning your own politician, then you are not attending to the problem. The only way you can attend to the problem is raise new class of political group or be a partaker yourself. That is it. That's somebody who wants to do something, not talk shop.
Thank you, Daniel. I need to go to the more or less the last part of my on and about Manchester. Alex, these days looks like condition to get money from Western world. One of the conditions looks like you must agree to LGBTQ. Otherwise, we're not going to lend you money. What's your take on that?
Which Alex?
You I mean, listen, Alex.
Okay, my take on that, first of all, I'll question why do we want to take money from the West? And however, when it comes to LGB or whatsoever they call themselves, I have no problem with them. But the West like to cherry pick what they want. My point is, in this UK, they used to banish people who were gays, the Oscar Wilde, all those people. When maybe they have matured, as they said, they are more developed world, they have reached a stage, I have no problem, let them deal with it. But when you go to a country, which you say is a developing country, that their culture, maybe 99% they are not used to, don't impose it. If it has to happen, it will happen naturally. If you go to Cameroon, the laws of Cameroon say gay, it's a criminal offense. You don't want to go, you change it as it fits. My point with the West is that when it comes to immigration, we can say that let them open their borders, let everybody come, they wouldn't listen. The point is, they always do what they like to do. Yes, you're a human being. My point when it comes to this LGBT is simple. What you do in your bedroom is not my problem. Keep it there. I don't see why they go around. People who are not gay, they don't go around and advertising it on air. I have no problem with them. I've met people in this country, I don't know them. They told me I'm this. I said, I have no problem. It's their business. It doesn't affect me. But however, don't go and force things on people. These things have to happen naturally like that. And when they go around forcing it, and again, my fellow Africans, they should just ignore these things. That's how I look at it. I don't even want, when you talk about it, you're encouraging them. Let them stay in their bedroom. I have no problem with you. All of us, when we leave this program, we go to our bedroom, it doesn't matter. And again, I don't really, because I'm a very liberal person, I'm very liberal that even if I'm not happy with what you say, I will still allow you to exercise that your free right to say what you have to say. But it doesn't mean that I hate you when I don't agree on what you are doing. And at the end of the day, with all the diamonds, with all the goals, I go there to Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo can feed the whole of Africa. Why are we going to be asking money from these people? Okay. Recently, not too long ago, ECHO, they were trying to make ECHO in Nigeria. Mr. Macron went there with Alassane Ouattara, and we are not hearing about it. So anything that Africa, we can live. We don't need to borrow money with these people. What we need is that gold, that diamond that we have there. We should start manufacturing. Africa needs an industrial revolution. We should not be relying only on natural resources. Industrial revolution is going to shape us. And again, some years ago, I was talking with someone from Thailand in London. The person said, do you know why Thailand is so developed? It's a landlocked country. We had nothing. Our hands were tied. So we have to start inventing things. So when we know that nobody is giving us money, I presume Africa will move forward.
Thank you very much. Again, towards the end of the show, because like I said, I'm conscious, I promised 1 hour. I'm also aware that in some cases, 1 hour is not going to be enough.
Can I quickly add something on that too?
Yes, please. The LGT, yeah.
Yeah. The West have used grant, aids, and financial muscle as a soft power. I think particularly African countries have not understood the dynamics of economic development. If we look at it properly, it's not that they are forcing anyone, they are influencing Africa. Not that they are forcing you. They know your law says gay should be punished, that it should be treated as a criminal case. What they are doing is they set up NGOs, civil organizations, to pressure you to change that law. And they dangle before you opportunities of financial compensation. So it's actually your decision. Don't think somebody is leaving you out of it. No, they are influencing you that you have this, but we want to change. What you need to ask yourself is, why is that not being put before UAE? Why is that not being put before Saudi Arabia? Why is that not being put before Kuwait? That they must change their laws for them to have $400 million or 700 euros. Yes, that means there must be something wrong with us in the way we perceive or we use the aid, which has made us endemically slave to them. So it is not so much to complain about somebody who has mastered his trade of how to influence you. It is for you to have a rethink on your own and said, wait a minute, the way these are going, there is a counter method that I can use to get out of this trouble. For once, I see that the prayers or the preaching that Africans can have, if you look at it in the nitty-gritty of it, gay practice, lesbianism and all that, are actually a threat to humanity. They are a threat to mankind's existence. No woman will live with another woman and be productive in terms of offspring. No man will live with another man and be productive in terms of offspring. They cannot reproduce themselves. If you allow this to fester, that in itself is a threat, a natural threat, not natural, is man-made threat against the existence of mankind. That campaign can be taken forward. African can stand on it and said, it is not the petty coins that you want to give us. You get it, will make us change this. That is it. It's not so much to crowd and said, oh, they're being influenced. I mean, they're forcing us. No one is forcing anyone. It is a soft power. And that the power behind it is just finance.
Thank you. Alex, the same question. I want your consideration on that. The issue of the LGBTQ in the developing countries, because any which way you and I are still from developing countries. We cannot change that for now. Some of us are making efforts to come out of that stupidity. But as long as the billions of nairas are changing hands at different House of Parliament in different countries, those who are making the money probably are not interested in wanting to have a Yoruba nation. They don't even want Cameroon to separate. So as far as they're making so much money, so then they're using this to dangle and say, take it or leave it. What's your take on Western world telling African countries to take the bite? I can't hear you. Alex.
Maybe Alex, he doesn't know the camera, the voice is not on.
Alex Ajala, can you hear me?
I think he's muted himself.
Can you unmute yourself, Alex Ajala?
He's not looking in it. Can you send him a message?
Okay, Alex Ajala, can you hear me? All right, okay. I have a couple of, I have a couple of messages, comments coming in, and as much as I want to read them, some of them are very pertinent to what we are saying. But then what I found out is a large number of us, especially the campaigners, we're still not in tune with the fact that the way we are running this campaign might not be the best way. Because if we are yet to start getting results the last 2 years or so, that means we may need to go back to the drawing board. And like I said, I have no doubt in my mind that this procedure, even if we have 90% of our people saying they want to go, I'm not too sure I will need to have another meeting with Alex Ajala, saying then that would trigger automatic United Nations wanting to take us out of Nigeria. I'm not too sure. I need to double check that. Unfortunately, Mr. Ajala is having issues with his devices. I can Well, I think around this time, I'm probably going to promise that I'll be bringing my panel back again. It's been my pleasure. Like I said, it was within a short period. I'm able to get hold of, and especially my friend of many years. I've interviewed him. He has been on my show many times. In fact, there was a show I quickly want to remind. There was a time that his senior brother died, and he was to come to my show,
Yeah.
and he came, and
Mhm.
I couldn't believe that. I said, "Well, this is very very un-African." He said, "Well, Otumba, what needs to be done needs to be done. I'm not going to bury him immediately. I mean, even we are going to bury him, it's going to take a kind of a process." Uh, just 1 second, please. Just 1 second. Hello, Shay. I'm on a live program. I sent you the link. If you can join us after the program. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So really, I want to appreciate you. I also want to
Thank you.
appreciate my lifelong. I mean, half of my age, 30 something, has been gone with this man. It's still. That's why sometimes I get worried and not angry. I said 37 years put into this course. The result is again. I mean, I'm free. I have the freedom. I'm at liberty to. It's my very very good friend. We can call each other names. We can disagree and agree. He knows that that's how I feel. So if 37 years is on, I will not probably go in the way of a Palestinian who have been doing the same bidding the last 75 years. I hope it doesn't take all that long. And then
Me
I want to
too, too.
yeah, and I want to appreciate my nephew's son, Daniel Shegun Daniel. I want to thank you for coming, even though he's also uh, trying to make little time socially, some other things good. And I pray that everything is going to be well with you. Thank you very much for coming.
Can I
Thank you.
quickly add something, sir? Can I
Yes,
quickly add something?
yes.
For the benefit of those of us who are Yorubas and uh, aspire to have a nationhood of our own, I would want to implore everyone that has been involved in this movement that we should desist from giving wrong information, falsehood, as well as trying to rewrite history that kind of want to favor our narration. In this movement, I've come across some well-respected gentlemen who what they say, particularly of the political history of the Yorubas, have been totally not truthful. I will single one particular individual out, Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Chief Obafemi Awolowo is a renowned politician from Western Nigeria. He is one of the nationalists. He was one of those who aspired to have Nigeria an independent nation. In his political career, till he died, Chief Obafemi Awolowo had never been a campaigner for a Yoruba nation. Yes, he was a premier of the Western region. He developed the Western region, but he had been a Nigerian politician who aspired to be in the highest position of the country, either as a prime minister or as the president. Never a time, never was Chief Obafemi Awolowo campaigning for independent Yoruba nation. If his works, if his deeds, if his actions in developing the Yoruba part of Nigeria when he was premier is something to write about, he was simply doing his job. He was not doing it to say that I want to take that part of the country out of the existing nation. No, he was doing what he needs to do as the premier of the Western region, developing that region. That was what he was doing. He was not saying, I'm doing this because I want to succeed. These days, there are a lot of agitators that were saying before Bafemi Awolowo started this movement, that it was his agitation to have Yoruba out of Nigeria. No, I disagree, and I will challenge anyone who will want to continue campaigning for that. Please let it all be clear. If we aspire for something, we should not be using falsehood, wrong narratives to want to get there. It will not take us anything. I am not a subscriber to such things. Let us be free, be fair, be conclusive, and be very open. Yes, there is nothing wrong in somebody opposing us. There is an answer called no. If we try to negotiate our way out of Nigeria and we meet opposition, we should take it as a standard procedure. That people are expected not to accept our views.
Hold on a minute. I think I have a caller.
It will only help us.
Yeah, just a minute. I have a caller.
Because I have never seen anybody because of
do you want to
started Yoruba Nation. No, he never said so.
Okay, hold on.
Said so.
Okay, hold on. No, you are on live. You can ask, you can contribute because you are in the studio line now. You can contribute. I can stop into say what you want to say, Mr. Sheyi from France. What do you want to say? Mr. Sheyi, you can contribute. You're on your live.
Okay, sure. Okay, yeah. Thank you, sir. I want to first appreciate your guest. I've learned a lot from their discussion tonight, as usual, from the Cameroon side, especially.
Yeah.
I get to understand what is really happening there. Thanks to our brother there and our brother to Shegun Daniel and Baba Jala. It has been a very lovely discussion. But I just really have to comment quickly because my brother was saying that some people said, unless I've never heard it, maybe you should quickly point out to me somebody that has said so that I will not start the movement. I will never. I support that. Never.
I'm the one saying I will never.
He never talked about Yoruba Nation. Though he worked for Yoruba people, but and he wanted to do the same thing for the whole country, and he was denied. He was deliberately denied. Everybody knows that. He was denied that opportunity.
What's the question, Mr. Sheyi? What's the question? Where's the question?
No, the question is, I don't know. I want us to rebuke. I don't know. I don't want to say a rebuke to say that in the Yoruba movement of today, nation movement today, there's nobody that said that hates that I've heard publicly said, I will not start a Yoruba nation. No. I didn't hear anybody say that. I
think the point here is that there was no time Awolowo went to be president of Yoruba nation alone.
No.
He has always wanted to be president of Nigeria.
There was no time.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
No time.
All right, thank you very
much.
There
was no time.
Okay. And I'm sure the same thing goes with Abiola.
I said Awolowo was not a Yoruba agitator.
No.
That's what I said. That Awolowo was never a Yoruba nation agitator.
No, but I thought you were saying that some people were saying that Awolowo is a Yoruba because started Yoruba nation. No, Awolowo never started Yoruba nation at all.
Okay.
There are individuals in this movement who have said so.
All right, Mr. Alex Ajala, are you back now? Can you hear me? Yes, we are still having problem with you. I don't know what the problem is. I'm also the same age with you. I'm not so savvy with. It looks like the singer and Daniel. They are savvy with computer. I can only switch it on and off, and then navigate myself. Then I don't know where he's
showing you a speaker.
Yeah, but then you've been coming well. We've been having we have been discussing conversation has been. So what did you might have touched something that I know. I've learned that if anything goes wrong, maybe I have touched something. And I want to share this with you. At the initial stage, I used to have this problem of double, echo. And it took me a long time to find out that if my studio is okay and it's still echo, it's my guest that probably has logged on 2 or 3 of his devices. Now I know that. So, well, again, let me read 1 or 2 messages that I'm getting from here. there's someone who wrote and said Otunba Oseni. My Oseni is Osenie. If you are listening to me, sir, next time Osenie. He said your problem is you are fighting your conscience. We don't have a working methodology. I will agree with that because I wish Mr. Ajala could also have it taken. There's also someone who said Obafemi Awolowo was selfish. He only wished to become the president of Nigeria, whatever it is. Again, that again might be true because I mean we have all agreed. Even the gentleman that called from France
Right.
attested to that Obafemi Awolowo, whom I grew up in the house, I never for a moment want to be president of Yoruba people. He's a leader of Yoruba people, but he has always targeted
As
to be
much as it developed the Western
yes.
Nigeria.
And because the thing is, looking back, we had 99% chance around that time to have stick to our gun and say, you know what, we've developed Western region. After all, each one of these leaders were given, I think, 2 million after this something to
I
use it.
said that this man saw the strength in our diversity. It is those who are seeing the problem in that diversity that think it is only an homogeneous Yoruba nation that should exist. This man who performed creditably in Western Nigeria see that it can be replicated and the diversity of this nation can make it work. That's why he was not myopic.
Well,
Yes.
By allowing everybody to exist equally inside the
Yes.
country, then it
Yes.
can work. But if you look
Yes.
today, okay, I'll give you an example. When the country have reached that
Not to
level,
condemn him
we
now.
haven't reached that level in most African nations. If Africa was created by tribes coming, signing treaty to form a country like Germany, it was the Germans. Bismarck came there and look at the people that they was talking the same language, and Prussia, Germany, France, French. You go to most English, they are English. You go to every country, they are created based on culture or language. But in Africa, some foreigner just came and divided the Lamido of Nigeria. Adamawa's part of his country is in Cameroon, part is in Nigeria. The Lamido of Adamawa is a part of my country is in Cameroon, and it's true. So the way the country was created is not us having treaties like each other. So if the Igbo, the Yoruba, they come, they have treaty, then they live on equal basis. As things stand, not only in Nigeria, Cameroon, other countries in Africa, there is no equality. When you hear a Frenchman say equality, justice, and fraternity, we don't have that equality. You see, Africans, you say they come abroad. Why do they strive? Do you know why? Because there are rules of law. Even if there's nepotism, but there's rule of law. In Africa, we have a lot of nepotism. You can have a bright person. You guys, when it comes to Nigeria, they have the brightest people on earth. But look at the people who are president in America. I mean, in Nigeria. Nigeria have one of the biggest brains on the whole universe. But when I look at your president in Nigeria, you deserve more. Not the Buhari, not the Babangida, not the Shehu Shagari. You have brains. You have
okay. Thank you for that compliment. Now listen, I have someone sending a comment. I want you guys to listen to this. He said Tinubu, that's the present president of Nigeria, a Yoruba man, the president of Nigeria, and where you keep using whatever the way you want to spell Nigeria, you get nothing for it because in Nigeria, the international community will spell Nigeria for you as Nigeria. So, well, continue. He said Nigeria destroying everything now with his thieves. Minister he just elected. Now, Mr. Lisinga, I'm used to these kind of people vomiting, vituperating, hatred, saying things which I don't know what's it connected. How often do you need to deal with these? You are fighting a straight fight. You follow the course of your course. You know exactly what you want. How often do you throw abusive language, hatred to everybody? How do you get anything for that as an activist?
the problem is that most people have got compliments that they say I've got thick skin, because one good thing about me, I'm a very private man. We are fortunate that we know each other. So sometimes, if you come and throw some abuse, I know who I am. It doesn't really affect me personally. That's why sometimes I tell some of my friends that, look, I know myself. Anybody can say something. It doesn't affect me. But I feel sorry for other people, or if I'm close to a friend or family or somebody who is close to me. Sometimes when they cannot take that abuse, they will take it on them. That's why I live a very private life. I know people who always insult people. Any person. I don't know one person that they don't even insult. I even saw recently, I was shocked. Was it yesterday? I did not see this. Shannon O'Connor, this musician who passed away. He took the Pope's picture and tore it there because of child abuse in the Vatican. I was saying that, so no matter how you are, for those of people who are Christians, even Jesus Christ, they never really loved him. So to me, in life, if you're very popular as an activist or a politician, then you're not doing the right thing. If so many people are against you, you're doing the right thing. Then you are Mandela, you are Martin Luther King, you're Malcolm X. That's how I look at it. People
So,
who are honest, straightforward, they don't like them. They only like you when you're dead. Like
thank you.
Mr. Ajala. Mr. Ajala talk about the Endelis. They are my people, my family, like Dr. Endeli. What Dr. Endeli used to say in the 1954, whatsoever, the English-speaking Cameroonian, they were against him. Today, they are singing his name, today. But when what he was doing then, they were not supporting him. He told them that if you join the French Cameroon, a country that they do not have democracy, blood on their hand, he said all those things prophetic. Is it May 1950 something? He said 25th of May 19. It's nobody. Now, everybody is singing his name today. So that's how life is. When you're doing something right, sometimes you don't have to eat your fruit. You have to do something so fast you have the conviction, you have the passion. That's what drives me. But one day people will say,
Okay, thank you very much. Again,
Uh,
there's so many comments
let,
I
let,
can read.
let me
I
let, let me
no wait.
quickly say something. Okay.
Let me read one more comment from Yoruba Action Group of Afemi. There is a well-pronounced weakness in our diversity. It is called religion. I wish I could have more time to discuss, but next time I want to assemble people to come on my show to come and discuss religion. And I can say to these viewer that if you send me your details, I will get in touch with you to come and be part of the panel next time, next Friday to be precise, so we can discuss religion and some other way forward. Uh, we got to stop here. One compliment for you before I go, Mr. Alex from
Okay.
Cameroon. A caller, I mean, viewer said, "God bless Mr. Alex from Cameroon." Thank you very much for that. And also to somebody also talk about Mr. Shegun Daniel and Mr. Alex. Thank you. I want to appreciate everybody. Well,
Can I quickly add something, please?
folks, now
Uh,
it has to be 1 minute. 1 minute has to be 1 minute.
I want us to have a rethink on this, and let us take it home as a passing shot. Most African countries have become independent for more than 60 years now. I think it's high time we stop blaming the white people or the colonialists. If it has taken us 60 years not to organize ourselves, I think history should not judge us correctly. That we should consistently going back to whether the British used one line to divide us or whatever. If we know the problem, that this is what they have given us as a legacy, that should be our starting point for solution. But for us to continuously mapping, nagging, and referring back, that means we are incompetent people. We don't want to deal with that problem. We want to hide away from them. We want to shield away from them. We want to pretend as if they do not exist. If we do recognize that that is a problem, then we should be thinking solutions to them, not nagging about it. If they've been gone for more than 60 years, though they are
Yes.
still, like I said, they have influence. That's what we need to start thinking. That how do we stand against certain influences? You get it? It's not so much to be whipping on it. That's the truth. In spite of them leaving the shores of Africa, they still have influences. How do we deal with that? It's not to keep the narration of, oh, this is how they divide us, this is how they do this. If we know that much, are we lacking in solution to those problems? That is what I want us to consider tonight while we leave. Please.
Thank you very much. I cannot agree more, because maybe what molded me in my thinking, approach, outlook, and everything is because of maybe the last 54 years I've been in Europe. And I think by now, even though I don't want to say I'm winding down at 76, I still believe that for 62 years old child has yet to be to stand up or to start crawling. There must be something monumental, fundamentally wrong with the child. So I can say that to most African 56 countries in Africa, we are yet to identify that we are independent, that we're only good in exporting our brains, our resources to our adversaries or whatever. And I don't think it's taking us less way. Thank you very much for you guys for coming to my show. And I want to thank all those people who are the, people who have contributed via sending messages and so on. It's my pleasure. Unfortunately, my good friend, I don't know what's wrong with his devices, and such a good man. He spent a lot of money on the quality device.
Mr. Otunba, the British people gave independence to a Jewish state. So the Palestinians, they should stop, they should not complain. Sometimes we should be careful with the so-called independence, because United Nations were not part of it when it was created. The United Nations Security Council, Mugabe tried to say we should come in there. So that independence is a fake independence. They took like kerosene and petrol and created countries in Africa. Kerosene and petrol, they cannot meet. If we Africans would have come and created our own country, signing treaty like Western world, it would have been different. So we will still complain. But unfortunately, Mr. Otunba, Mr. Alex, and Mr. Daniel, you say we are complaining. Have you been president of Nigeria? No. The people who have power are dancing to the tune of the West. So
that's
we cannot say we are complaining. We are not in that position of power to make that decision.
I think that's exact. Thank you very much, Alex, for your conclusion note. I think that's exactly what Mr. Chegun Daniel was saying. That is a shame. It's a shame to note that the last 60-something years, we've not been able to make anything else. Thank you very much. I have to go now. Thank you, and I look forward to having you guys again. Bye-bye.